inspiration that people have gotten from Brian Mulroney? Did he inspire you in any way, or did you ever have the chance to interact with him, get one of his famous phone calls?
Look, I'm in politics in part because of the exchange of ideas between him and Prime Minister Trudeau. And I was a young kid growing up in Alberta when he was elected in '84 and then again in '88. And I served as parliamentary guide here on the Hill in 1990. And that was the summer that Canada welcomed Queen Elizabeth II, Mikhail Gorbachev, and Nelson Mandela. And just think about the place that we had in the world, and still do, but for that Prime Minister to welcome those world leaders. And there was a moment I was in the centre block, and Prime Minister Mulroney was coming down the steps with Nelson Mandela. And he looked at all of us guys and he says, "It's a great day, isn't it?" And then he saw that I had my camera out. And he gave me a wink and he said, "Make sure it's a good one," and then turned Mr. Mandel into the frame of my camera. I got the photo, and I still have it, and I'll never forget that day.
That's a terrific story. Do you have like a digital version of that photo? Would you?
If I can get it to you, I will.
We're going to use this. Advice or inspiration from Brian Mulroney. Do you take any inspiration from his political career? Did you ever have a chance to interact with him?
You know, I did many years ago, well before I came into politics, and he was getting an honorary degree. But the advice that I would take away is just a lifetime of public service. And you often hear about the commentary of the big things that got done. And I think that all of us who stand for elected office to serve this wonderful country, should look at, someone like Brian. I mean, I'm the minister today in trade that is doing free trade with the United States and Mexico, and one can't think about, his leadership in taking this country forward in that way, and we're carrying on that work, but. I would say it is the life of service and the dedication to Canada, and to do it with just never forgetting people. Every day it's about people, and that's what I and how I remember him. Good. Thanks. Okay.
Talk to him a little bit. I did have the opportunity to actually in the last couple of days. I was out at St. FX and speaking in Antigonish to students out there. And got a chance to work out of his office there and see a lot of the history and talk to a lot of people that had known him, and just a new respect for his legacy, and just talking to people about things like acid rain, about his work on inclusion, about obviously free trade and the big things that we think about. So.
As you're hearing all these things, and as everyone is reflecting right now, I mean, what is it about his career that offers you inspiration in your own political life?
He didn't come from a place of wealth. He was someone that worked very, very hard to get where he did. He was someone that, while he led, and he was no doubt a very strong leader, he also had a lot of compassion and kindness for the people around him. You hear from people that did work with him and spent a lot of time with him how much he took the time to reach out during significant life events, and remembered people's names and stories, and those things are really important. And not everybody who leads with that kind of grace and kindness, and he really is a good example for everyone around here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. Or inspiration from Brian Mulroney. Did he ever give you advice? Do you find inspiration from his political career, Michael Barrett?
So, of course, Prime Minister Mulroney looms so large in our country. He was elected as Prime Minister the year I was born, and I didn't have any personal interactions with him, but my brush with feedback from him came after I questioned Prime Minister Trudeau during the We Charity scandal, and Prime Minister Mulroney reached out through a colleague to give me some positive feedback about my interactions with Prime Minister Trudeau, and I thought that was great. The tributes that we've heard about Brian Mulroney from Canadians, of course, in the House yesterday, they speak to the kind of legacy that politicians can have from their work here, and his work on ending apartheid, of course, is notable, but I think what's felt daily in the lives of Canadians and my community being a border community is free trade. This is something that that contributes to the prosperity of everyone on the continent, and you know, it's a real lasting legacy. Personally, the thing that's most pronounced that I admire about him is his family, and he has a beautiful family. A gaggle of grandchildren. They're lovely people, and I know that connection was always very close between him, his wife, their children, and their grandchildren, who I know are going to miss him dearly. And we're so blessed that they shared him with us for all those years.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Thanks so much.
So we are asking people to take the part in the funeral coverage on Saturday TV and radio, what advice or inspiration they've received from Brian Mulroney.
Well, Mr. Mulroney, as you know, is a towering figure of history who restored the economic promise of this great country, who led us alongside Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan to victory over the communists in the Cold War. In my brief encounters with him, I discovered how important it is to have a warm personal touch, to invest in yourself, in the person you're engaging with, whoever it might be, whether they're earlier in their career or later on, and how important I think that is in the age of disruption to come. I think this is a time in which we see a lot of trust that's broken across many parts of our country, and I'm excited to think that his legacy of freedom and of decency is something that will live on in a generation to come.
What did he say to you? Did he offer advice or encouragement?
Be good to people on your way up, because you'll see them on the way down. He also, through his own actions, showed how you should stay committed to people throughout the course of their careers, because there will be highs and lows, and it's the ones that you remember when you're going through a major transition that are really willing to crawl into the trenches with you. And he certainly did that for me and for a lot of other people along the way. And he would have had no reason to do so. So for that, I have a debt of gratitude to him and his family that I'm looking forward to repaying.
Thank you so much.
First memory of Brian Mulroney would have been back in 1988. I would have been probably 9 years old. That's my first memory of politics, is seeing him on stage debating John Turner. I was supposed to be in bed, and I heard these two men on the television, and my parents let me come down and watch it. And yeah, just seeing those two figures battle it out in a debate in a very respectful way, but still a very passionate way, I think that was the first bug I got with respect to politics.
And you know, obviously his legacy is varied. He was of a different political persuasion of your own. But is there something in the way that he did politics that you find inspiration in?
Yeah, I think, you know, if you look at our own leader of the time, Ed Broadbent, and certainly they had very passionate debates and were very much on opposite political ends of the spectrum, but there was still a measure of decorum and respect there that you could leave the fight on the floor of the House of Commons and still go and be friends after the end of the day. So I think that's something that we should all sort of take notice of and maybe try to aspire to.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.